Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Arifa and here I want to present my lesson plan for the MIDTEST. So I will share my screen first. So my subject here is English for the phase or the grade, the phase E, and then the grade is 10th grade. The material is about narrative text. And the title is Exploring Indonesian Folklore with Wayang Puppeters. For the skill is listening and speaking. Time allocation is 2 meetings. And then here's the Pancasila student profile. There's facilities too. First is smart TV, 2 speaker, 3 projector, 4 student worksheets, 5 laptop, and 6 YouTube video. For the learning environment, the first one is classroom with audiovisual support. The second one is classroom with flexible seating for pair or group discussion. And the learning model I use here is project-based learning or PGBL. And for the first meeting, here's the learning objectives of phase E. By the end of the lesson, students are able to understand the meaning of oral narratives about Indonesian folklore and identify the generic structures, orientation, complication, and resolution, social functions, and the language features through multimodal text. For the element in the first meeting is listening. And here's the learning objectives of listening. First one is students will be able to identify the generic structure, social functions, and language features of narrative text through listening. Second is students will be able to explain characters, setting, and moral value. And then students will be able to categorize the Indonesian folklore types and choose their preferences. Fourth, or the last one, is students will be able to participate in planning a group folklore performance using wayang puppets based on their preferences. And for the learning activities, we will start with introduction or reception. The teacher greets the student and gets the students ready for the lesson by appointing one of them to lead the prayer. And then the teacher checks attendance by having the students mention who is not present. And then there's a warm-up dialogue. The teacher will ask to the student, like, did you used to like reading folklore? What Indonesian folklore do you already know? What makes folklore important for Indonesian identity? And then the teacher will say, we're going to learn narrative text through listening and create a retelling story using. Can you guys guess what we're going to use? The teacher asks the students, so there will be the teachers ask the students, so there's interaction between the teacher and the student. And then for the core activities, the first one is determining the essential question. The teacher will display the question on the screen or on the whiteboard, blackboard, something like that. The question is, what is narrative text and what is its relationship with Indonesian folklore? And then after that, the teacher will ask again, how can we retell Indonesian folklore in English creatively through wayang puppets? And then after that, the teacher will present a PPT about narrative text and explain it orally. Here, I want to show you the PPT or the PowerPoint. So here's the PowerPoint about narrative text. The first one, I will explain what is narrative text. Narrative text is a type of text that tells a chronological story in past tense. And then I will explain the social functions and purpose too. The purpose of a narrative text is to entertain the readers or listeners through the amusing story. And here are the types of narrative text. The first one is fairy tales, and then mysteries, science fiction, romance, horror stories, adventure stories, and fables. And then there's folklore too, or cerita rakyat. Folklores divided into three. There's a myths, legend, and folk tale. Here I put the Indonesian subtitles too, so that they will understand it clearly if they don't understand, but I will explain it in English too. And then there's a generic structure. The first one is orientation. Orientation tells about the character and the setting, time, or place of the story. And then there's complications. Complications show the conflict or crisis affecting the main character. The crisis increase into climax. And then rising action, climax, falling action, and falling action. And then there's resolution. Resolution tells the solution to the conflicts. It presents the ending of the story. The last one is reorientation. Reorientation contains a conclusion, a moral message, or a moral value, or a change in character at the end of the story. This is optional because it isn't always required in a narrative text. And then here's the language features in narrative text. First one is simple past tense. Second one is adverb of time. Third is adjective. And fourth, or the last one, is noun phrase. Thank you. And then we will go back to the lesson plan. After present a PowerPoint about narrative text and explain it orally to the student, students will do a short quiz on quizzes about what the teacher has explained. Here we will see the quizzes. So the student will play the quiz by themselves on their phone cells, something like that. But if they isn't aren't allowed to bring their phone, we will play it together with my laptop on the big screen in the class. The game will be like this. Start. Which one is fairy tale? Uh, and the student will answer it. What is the orientation of narrative text? Can you guess it? Which one is true? Orientation. Orientation. What is complication of a text? What kind of a story? Sarang laba-laba emas is fable. What is the picture telling about? Is Malin Kondang. What of paragraph in narrative text introduce the characters, the place, and time? The story takes place and sets the scene, which is called orientation. There's 15 questions, guys, so we will answer it. These are kind of narrative text, except which one is legend? Which one is legend? The journey structure of narrative texts are what kind of this story? Oh, the same question. It's fable, still fable. What is the purpose of narrative text? The purpose is to entertain the reader. What is resolution of the text? The resolution is where the problems. Wait, the resolution. Is this true? Yes. What is included in the type of narrative text? Is legend. Oh, 14. What is the reorientation of or coda of narrative text? Is moral value. The last one, which one is the legend? The legend is after the students finish answer the quiz, they will go back to the lessons. Okay. And then, wait. And then, after they finish the quizzes, students will listen to audio of several famous Indonesian folklore provided by the teacher. So, here I have about 3 Indonesian folklores audios. Actually, this is the videos, but for the student, I will just show them the audios. So they will hear it, just hear it, not see the video, watch the video. They do not watch it. For example, there's the origin of Surabaya, Sangkuriang and Tangkuban Perahu, and the last one is Malin Kundang. I will show them these stories. And then after that, students will do a short quiz on Bamboozle about the types of narrative text they have listened to. At the end of the quiz, students have to choose which type of narrative text. As I mentioned it on the PowerPoint, there's fable, myths, legend, and folk tale. They will choose what they like. They will decide it with their groups. So we will see how we will see the bamboozle quiz. So for the bamboozle quiz, I will divided the classroom into 2 groups. So I will show the question. I will show the question in front of the class through my laptop and the projector or with the smart TV, and they will answer it together with their group. I will divide it into 2 groups, and they will answer it. It's just for fun. Yeah, it will be like this. So team 1 will answer first, and then team 2 will answer after team 1. So team 1 can choose which number they want to answer. For example, they will answer number 3. They will choose number 3. So the question is, what are the characteristics of these 2 characters? Let's click check. Help each other. Is that true or not? So if they think it's true, I will help them to click OK. But if they think that this isn't true, I will help them to click the oops. For example, I will click oops. Uh-oh. In fact, the right answer is true. So, because they cannot answer the question, they will not get the point. So, it will be team 2, team 2's part. I will ask them which number they will choose to answer. For example, they will choose number 13. Team 2 lose to 20 points. Oops. So team 2 have minus 20 because they choose the wrong number. So if they choose one of these numbers, they will get questions minus points, or they will get more points if they're lucky enough. And then back to team 1. For example, they will choose number 6. Oh, give points to team 2. So team 1 should give their points to team 2. For example, they will give 5 points. So team 2 is the point of team 2 is minus 1, and team 1 is minus 5. And then we will try again for team 2. What is the title of the story? We will check. Malin Kundang, is that true or not? For example, if team 2 think that this is right, I will help them to click OK. Is that true? That's true. So team 2 got 10 points, and their point now is minus 5, and like that. They will play it like this. It's just for fun. So the score is just for fun. And then we will go back to the lesson plan. And then after this, creating the project design, students will see the results of their choices of narrative text type on the screen together. Those results will also determine which type of story they will get for their project. But the teacher involved the students in a brief discussion about the division of groups based on the types of narrative text they have chosen. Something like that. And then after that, each group have to choose one Indonesian folklore according to the type they have selected. Each group represents a province in Indonesia. They are allowed to access the internet, and the teacher will inform that we will make mini puppets or wayang of the characters from the story they choose and retell it in front of the class. And the material they need to prepare is, the first one is leftover cardboard. Second one is printed story characters. 3 is 5 pairs of scissors per group, pencils, markers, glue, double tape, and popsicle sticks. And there's the rules too. Rules number 1 is each group must decide which story they will choose and make sure it is not the same as another group's. 2. Create a short dialogue from the story you have chosen, with each member playing a maximum of 3 characters. Make sure every member gets a line. 3. Each group must divide what items will be brought by each member. 4. We will make the puppet together at school next week. And the last one is, after finishing making the puppets, each group will perform in front of the class as the puppeteer. Prepare the dialogue. There will be no more practice in class before performing. So after they finish making the puppets, they will present it. And then preparing the schedule. Each group must divide what items will be brought by each member. You have 1 week to find and prepare it. We will make the puppet together at school in the next meeting, as I said earlier. Each group must practice whether offline or online. So they must practice to prepare the dialogue at least twice before performing. There must be documentation as proof, images, and video. Upload. So they should upload the pictures on Instagram stories. each group member must repost it and mention my account. So there will know a representative of the group, but each group member must repost it and mention my account. Upload the pictures on Instagram stories, and the video they will upload it on G Drive. I will provide the link. And then there will be no more practice in class before the performance. After finishing making the puppets, each group will immediately perform in front of the class as the puppeteer. And then for the closing, student will share which story did your group choose, why did you guys pick it, and then the teacher will summarize main points and gives appreciation for students' effort. Here's the attachment, the PowerPoint, Indonesian folklore audios, and the worksheet, the narrative quizzes, and bamboozle quiz. Here's the rubric. And then for the second meeting, we will start by the learning objectives. So the learning outcomes for phase E in the second meeting is, by the end of the lesson, students are able to retell Indonesian folk tales orally using appropriate narrative structure, clear pronunciation, expressive delivery, and demonstrate collaboration through a puppet drama performance. For the element in the second meeting is speaking. And here's the learning objectives of speaking. Students will be able to apply their understanding of narrative structure by retelling a chosen Indonesian folklore orally using wayang puppets in English. Students will be able to demonstrate clear pronunciation, fluency, and appropriate intonation while performing their puppet show. Students will be able to evaluate their own and other group performances through reflection and feedback. And then for the learning activities, we will start with introduction and receptions. As usual, the teacher greets the student and gets the student ready for the lessons. By appointing one of them to lead the prayer, the teacher checks attendance by having the students mention who is not present and do a quick review, like what did we learn about narrative text last week? And the teacher will remind that today we will make our wayang puppets together and then perform in front of the class. For the core activities, the first one is monitoring project progress. So students create wayang puppets using the materials they brought. And then the teacher helps students to check whether they brought their materials or not by mentioning them one by one. The materials are leftover cardboard, printed story characters, 5 pairs of scissors per group, pencils, markers, glue, double tape, and popsicle sticks. The students began making the puppets according to the instruction given by the teacher orally. So I will give the instruction for them to start making the puppets. For the steps is cut the printed paper following the shape of the character. They have different character, right? So yeah. They will trace the cut out paper onto cardboard to get the same shape using a pencil or marker. And then they will cut the cardboard according to the shape you traced earlier. And then after that, they will attach the character image paper to the cardboard as a support using glue or double-sided tape. After that, they make sure the printed character sticks firmly to the cardboard. And then the last one is for the puppet handle. Attach an ice cream stick to the back of the cardboard like this. The side without the image, so for example, is the image, and they will put the sticks here using glue. And then after this is presenting and reflection, the teacher informed that each group will take turns performing randomly. I will call them randomly. Each group has 5 minutes to perform. Students must state the title of the story and which character each student is playing. And it is forbidden to open notes or phones to look at the dialogue. If they forget the complete dialogue, they can use their own word as long as it does not change the storyline. And do not speak flatly. They must be expressive. After all group finish, teacher will lead a quick peer mini feedback and students say aloud like one thing they like about other group and one suggestion to their friends. And then after that, the teacher gives overall feedback and appreciation for the effort. And then the last one is evaluating the final results. The teacher leads a discussion with these questions. The first one is what did you enjoy most? Two, which part was hardest, making the puppets or performing? Three, what value does your folklore teach? Four is what would you improve next time? And then after that, I will close the class. The teacher summarizes the lesson and then the teacher provides feedback and short motivational note for the students. Here's the rubric for presenting. And yeah, that's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.